Yeah.
It's that time again.
Put on your best behavior, Steve.
Never.
Because we're live now.
No, never. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, everybody.
I got my cowboy belly and Timberline cut working this morning.
There you go. Steve and I were chatting away and completely forgot what time it was. And I told him, I said, "Oh man, it's almost time to do the show."
We got to go to work.
Yeah, we got stuff to do.
I still got a cookie I gotta finish.
Anyway, good morning. I see Roy and Rob, Team Man, and John's here. Dwight Curley's here now. Good to see you guys. Steve Anderson. Who else did I see? Bernard's here. And I'm sure I'm missing somebody.
We got Roy Eltham.
Yeah, Roy's here.
He said that? I don't know.
Yeah, I think I said that one. Anyway.
Anyway, it's too early.
Oh, okay. Well, just to let you know, guys, we don't have a guest this week, but we will have one next week. So, and this guy that's going to be on next week, you've probably seen some of his channel. I'm not going to tell you who it is yet, but he's a very, very meticulous modeler. He does a very good job, and he's traveling this week, so he couldn't be on this week. And he's also, I guess, in the military reserve of some sort, because he was going to be heading off to that right after next week. Mm-hmm. So next week was going to be his chance to do the show, because he usually works Saturdays. So anyway, we're kind of lucky to get him on, and I'd like to talk to him some more. He sounds exactly like my chiropractor. I mean, they could be brothers. It's really eerie for me, because I know both of them now. So anyway, if you saw last week's show,
that was a good show, wasn't it?
Steve was up at Train Mountain. I felt like I was there too.
God, that was a good show. Man,
Steve was at Train Mountain with Chuck, and Chuck walked around and took a lot of video that we could put on, which was really nice.
Yeah, he made that show, man. That was so great.
Between Steve's channel and Chuck's channel at CDP 1965, they've got videos of last weekend riding around on Steve's train. So make sure you go back and check those out if you haven't seen them already, because it's pretty cool. You can get to see some of the burn damage they had, which looks like they cleared a bunch of it out already.
Oh yeah,
it's amazing. Yeah. And but it didn't look nearly as bad as it sounded.
Well, you haven't seen a third of the mountain that's still.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the top side. I'm scared to even go up there, because that used to be so beautiful. I just like, oh, it's all gone. I've seen videos of it, so I know what it looks like.
Yeah, it makes me sick to see that. But anytime something burns like that.
It could have been worse. Thank God the wind had shifted, because it was burning south, and then it kind of shifted southwest and went towards the Klamath Lake and kind of burned off the mountain. But if it hadn't, it gotten straight down into the, and it taken the whole place up.
Yeah,
and they were afraid that was going to happen.
So was most of the fire north of Train Mountain?
Yeah, it was. It started. They called it the 242 fire, and that's only because that's the mile marker on Highway 97 that goes next to Train Mountain, and that was the mile marker that the fire started. And I don't know what the mile is at Train Mountain, but it started probably a good 20 miles north of Train Mountain. And it burned really hot, really fast because of the wind. But I don't remember if they even decided what the cause of that fire was. But there's one place on the north side of the mountain called Crane that it was the go-to spot when you're once you get to the northernmost point of Crane Mountain is that you can go to right now is Schubert. Then you have to turn around and come back down. But from there up to the top of Hope Circle is another 5 miles, and that's still closed. and there's it's a siding kind of yard deal with a really cool water tank, a lot of buildings up there, and that was kind of the go-to spot for stopping to, for the steam engines to fill up with water and have lunch and chill out a little bit. And that's where Tim and I met the bear about 2 years ago. We went up there. It was about 10 o'clock at night, and I had, he didn't have a steam engine. I had mine, and we got there and turned it off because that thing's loud. And it was just dead quiet, just absolutely dead quiet. The stars are out, and we're going, yeah, this is really nice. Just really enjoyed it. And all of a sudden you hear this kind of rustling, to your left, and I'm in the ozone layer, and I said, that's a dog someplace. And Tim's going, no, that's not a dog. It's like, that's a dog. That's not a dog. It's like, so you hear that down to the left. It's like, okay. And then you start hearing little rustling up to the right. And this was only like about 30 feet off the track. It wasn't very far. We got between a mama bear and her cub.
That's not good.
We realized what we had gotten into. It's like, turn that thing on, blew the horn, got as noisy as we could, and man, we boogied out of there. We just flew out of that place because but anyway, that's Crane, and that's a really nice spot, and that was saved during the fire. That everything is burned around it except for Crane. The porta potty melted, and I think they lost one picnic table. Well, we come to find out how that was saved. I thought it was just the grace of God that the fire decided not to take Crane out. The morning that the fire started at night, so they couldn't do any air ops at night. But as soon as the sun broke, they brought in the air crews. Well, they had a chopper pilot that was flying up there early morning. He looks down and sees these buildings. So he dumps a bucket of water on it and then takes off again. And he thought it was full-size buildings because he couldn't tell. So that's how Crane ended up getting this.
Well, if it's the only thing out there, he has no reference, size reference to go by.
Down and see, and they're orange, they're yellow, so they're pretty big anyway. And so a nice chopper pilot, the grace of God saved that spot. But it'll all grow back. But it's really sad.
Yeah, I'm hoping they get it back where we can go up there next year. But
they will. They're working on the track right now. It'll probably be open in another couple of weeks.
Oh, okay. Well, good. Well, barring any other fires, then.
Well, there's nothing left to burn up there.
Well, I meant anywhere else around there, though.
Yeah. Well, the forest, they always seem to manage to come back. It just takes a while, but just the stark difference, because you could look off to the side of the tracks and you couldn't see 30 feet into the forest. It was just really cool. You go up there now and it's like a moonscape. There's just, you can see, 15 miles now. A little different perspective. It's actually kind of interesting because I was driving in Friday morning, and was, as soon as you turn on to 62 to head back down to, towards Train Mountain, you'd run right into the fire damage, and it would just kind of hit you in the face. And turning into the road that leads to Train Mountain, I looked over and there's a caboose sitting right next to the highway. I'd never seen it before because it was covered with trees. There's an SP bay window caboose just sitting right off the road that you couldn't even see.
And it didn't get that. Fire didn't get it.
Not burned everything around it. So, once they did that, they logged out all the dead trees, and now you got a caboose out there. Okay.
Yeah, because it was interesting on one of the videos that I was telling you about. Steve goes up there where they had some of the fire where it was still open, and they've got looked like some big trees got cut down.
Big ones.
Yeah. And so they got some lumber out of there anyway.
Yeah, they're doing that, but they're doing a mad dash right now to thin out the lower side of the mountain, getting stuff out, the undergrowth. So
Desert growth stuff, yeah.
Yeah. So
well, I know that's a huge thing. Like in Colorado, I did some research when we were thinking about moving up there. That if you take off, a lot of people used to have cedar shake roofs up in the mountains on their cabins and stuff. And they said if you had that and you take it off, or you had any other kind of roof and you take it off and put on a metal roof, which is much better for the snow anyway because it sheds the snow better, and you clear the underbrush out for 50 yards. Was it 50 yards or 50 feet? Must have been 50 yards. 50 feet wouldn't be far enough.
Yeah,
around just the underbrush, not the trees, but the underbrush around your cabin, it would cut your fire insurance in half.
Oh, I believe it.
Just doing those two things. So that's a huge thing.
See, there's a lot of manzanita, just really flammable shrubbery underneath it. You
could see it. You could see it on those videos that you guys were riding by. I'm thinking, man, it's a wonder this whole place didn't go up.
Yeah. So, and that's the problem with, fire is part of the ecosystem, and they're, been doing that for, millions of years. The fire's supposed to cut through and take out, all the crap on the ground. But now, with the forest management the way it is, you don't get these fires regularly. So when you do get it, they're massive. They get up into the crowns of the trees and they top the trees. They don't run the ground anymore. They get up into the the canopy, and that's what happened with this. And once you got to the top, the winds were blowing 40, 50 miles an hour, and it was just spotting, a mile ahead of the fire, and they couldn't keep up with it. There's spots. It's kind of weird because there's spots where you can see lines of trees that weren't burned, and then they're all in straight lines. And then you go for 100 yards where it's just totally gone, and then there's another line of trees that were saved just because the fire was burning so fast that it skipped over a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And it actually burned at Klamath Lake, and that's how they got it out, because it just burned into the water.
Well, I wonder if those strips of trees that didn't get burned got either retardant or water or whatever they were using dumped on them in that straight line.
I don't think so, because they didn't get a lot of water drops in the beginning. So I think that was all wind. But I didn't see a lot of places where there was retardant, at least on Train Mountain. It might have been, because that stuff kind of sticks around for a while because it's kind of orange. And I didn't see that. But it was.
Steve Anderson had a question. Did it take the trees or just all the underbrush and stuff? Well, I guess you just answered that.
Yeah. Where it did burn it. Well, there are spots where there's some trees that were saved where it didn't get completely bulldozed through.
But that's the Forest Service taking the trees, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
When they came to cut them.
Yeah. But no, if they were dead, they logged them all out. There's spots. I don't know if you look at my video. Where I first get into the fire damage and you look to the left, you can see off in the distance, bare hills, which used to be trees, and there's piles of trees out there that they haven't even hauled off yet. They're just out in a big pile. They've just laid them out. They've got them down and on the ground. But yeah, some of those trees were massive, just huge.
Lehigh River Subdivision's got a question. Good morning, by the way.
Good morning.
He says, I've seen electric lines like tree limbs that grew into them already. It's amazing how something green can catch fire quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, especially when it hasn't had any rain. It could still be green because pine trees don't brown out when they don't get a lot of water. They stay green. but they can be dry, and especially pine trees or evergreens like that can really go up.
Oh no, that they're like gasoline. I mean, and the pine cones up there are huge, and they're everywhere. So you got pine needles, pine cones, and that's all just a disaster waiting to happen.
It's all kindling, yeah.
Yeah.
See, here in Oklahoma, we've got, if you drive out west of town here, we don't have pine trees, but we have juniper trees,
right,
by the thousands. And I mean, they look like pine trees from a distance. But we also get fires out here from time to time, and you'll drive through a place where the fire went through the juniper trees, and the juniper trees, you know, the trunk of the juniper tree might still be sitting there, but there's nothing around it. It's all gone, because those things burn like a candle too.
Well, and see, that's why now they have the policy up there that there's no solid fuels for any steam locomotives. You know, it's all propane. You know,
which brings me to, I want to share this picture. Let me hang on a second. Let me get it up, and then I'll.
You gonna show that big boy?
Yeah, I was going to show that. Show that one. Let me get it pulled up here first. Here we go. Let's see. There it is. Okay, now go back here. I can share this.
Yeah, the gentleman that I got my switcher from, John Felt, he built 3 steam locomotives. He also helped build this one. It's a big boy. It's the 4026. This is in Medford, Oregon. It's on the transfer table, and they actually had to add another 6 feet to one of the steaming bays to accommodate this thing. It's, I mean, I don't know what kind of crazy person would decide to take on a project of building a big boy, but 2 people did. To my knowledge, there's only 2 in the United States. The 4004, which I think is in Southern California, I'm not sure, and the 4026, and I'm not sure where that one ended up at. But John helped build this one. I've got pictures that I sent them to Claude of John standing by the front of it.
Well, and you told me this one was actually coal fired, correct?
It was, yeah.
Even more cool, because coal fire puts out such good smoke.
Oh yeah.
And so to me, that's part of the steam engine. That's why I don't want to see them do away with all the coal.
Well, see, a lot of
trains.
The light steam hobby is kind of switching, you know, from solid fuels to propane, just because it's easier. Now on the East Coast, not so much. That there's a lot of coal still, because it's readily available. I mean, try to get coal on the West Coast of California, you forget it, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, very few people are firing with coal, you know, anything on the eastern or western part of the United States.
Well, it's like the Durango and Silverton, and I'm sure Chama's probably getting it from the same place. They're still pulling coal for their trains, their excursion trains, from the same coal mine that they were running when the tracks were laid in the first place. Which is, to me, is just phenomenal that they've got that much coal there, because they go through quite a bit, you know, on one train. So,
well, there's a big difference between trying to fire 1.5-inch scale locomotives on coal versus propane. Some guys, they'll fire with diesel, you know, propane, coal, wood, depends. There's a couple guys down in Sacramento that still fire. He's got an American that he's got, it's wood fired, which is really cool, because that smells really good. But I've fired propane. I've never fired coal locomotives. John had explained to me the pain in the butt trying to fire a 1.5-inch scale locomotive on coal. You spend more time banking the fire and tending the fire than anything else. Propane, very simple. I hated the smell, but you know, it's like a barbecue. You know, you can adjust the fire really easy, so it's a lot cleaner. So the fire up process is quicker, as you saw last week with Tim.
Yeah, yeah, he was explaining that pretty well, I thought.
You know, but with coal fire, you've got to, before you even do anything, you've got to clean the last run out of. You've got to take all the ash out of the ash pan. You've got to rake the tubes, clean all the debris out of the tubes to facilitate a better and a more efficient firing. You got to clean out the smoke box, and it's messy, it's dirty. I mean, the coal smoke smells great, but you're working twice as hard with a coal fire. And I can't imagine coal firing a big boy.
Well, yeah, in that size especially. It would not be easy.
I think it had a 22-inch firebox.
That's pretty good size for one that size. Of course, I remember seeing Dale and Karen from Toyman channel.
Mm-hmm.
They were up in Cheyenne, I guess, is where they put the big boy that made the tour and stuff here lately.
Right.
They did a video where they were standing in the firebox and the guy was talking about it. I mean, it was as big as a garage.
Well, yeah, an 1.5-inch scale. It's like trying to fire a wood stove in your house. I mean,
yeah. Lehigh River had a comment. He said he watched a video on a big boy 7.5-inch that went to Australia. So that may be.
What was the number on it? Do you remember? Because there aren't very many big boys.
No, I wouldn't think so. Let's see here.
I was
behind on everything.
I was watching actually it's a Train Mountain history video. I'd never seen it before, from 1995, and this locomotive is in that, sitting on the turntable in just the running gear and the tender. I saw it in Sacramento at the Sacramento Valley Live Steamers in '95, and for one of their meets, and somebody brought it down. And I don't think he had the tender there. I think I sent you the picture of that one, Claude.
Yeah, I didn't load all the pictures. This is really the only one I loaded. It. I thought it had the best overall view of the locomotive. Of course, he's doing a blowdown there, but but that was pretty cool. Steve Anderson has a question for you. Do any of the steamer propane-fired U.S. propane fired U.S. wood chips like a smoker to make smoke? I wouldn't think they would they?
To make the smoke?
Yeah.
No.
Because that would create embers, and that's what they're trying to stay away from.
Exactly. Yeah. So no, I would have to say no.
And Lehigh Subdivision says no. He doesn't know the number on that one in Australia.
I'd have to look it up, but yeah, I'm not sure. I think there's more challengers than big boys. I think there's been a few challengers built, but
Bernard says rotting flues is a yucky job, especially in Wyoming wind. Ask me.
Oh, there you go. That good job, Bernard. That was the term I couldn't get off the top of my head. Rotting the flues. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine maintenance on something like that. If it's built, that would be one of my questions is, are these steam trains at 7.5-inch, are they built, the boiler's built just like a full size?
Oh, sure.
Because I would think that would be very, very tedious work trying to build one that small with that many, steam rods going through it, steam pipes going through it.
You don't have the same ratio with the smaller scales. You've got bigger flues. I'd have to. You could go to the. It's called the steam channel, and it's on YouTube. And there's several videos there of firing coal-fired locomotives, and you don't have a lot of flues in it, because just because it's harder to silver solder all that stuff. But yeah, so yeah, the tubes are bigger. I would probably guess the smallest would be half an inch, maybe. I don't know. That's pretty small though.
Yeah.
But there's different kinds of ways to make a boiler. There's steel boilers, copper boilers. There's steel with copper tubes. I don't, actually that would be a good topic for Tim, because I don't know that much about building boilers. John did, but Allen 10-wheeler that I used to run had an all copper boiler, and they fired up a lot easier, a lot quicker. They did expand more, so you didn't want to fire them up real quick, because you didn't want to pop all that silver solder. So it took a good hour to fire his up. Tim's was quicker because he's got a steel boiler. Copper's, you just kind of want to do it slower, just to let it expand a little bit. But,
well, he says it was the 4005 in New Zealand was the number on that.
Oh,
big
okay.
one that he saw.
I wonder if I've got the number wrong, because I thought it was the 4004.
He said Big Boy Ships Down Under is the name of the video on YouTube.
Maybe it was the 4005. I'm going to have to go back and research that. Okay.
Yeah, do your job, man.
I know. Hey, I'm a gas guy. I run diesels. I don't run steam anymore, so I don't know.
Anyway, that's pretty impressive. And I assume that the boilers were a little bit different, just because of size constraints.
Right.
And also, it's the same thing with model airplanes. You can't go 1-to-1 scale in some instances,
right,
just because it doesn't work the same way at a smaller scale as it does on a full size. So they have to change things just to make it work properly. Otherwise, you have trouble, and it either won't run at all, or it could be dangerous or something like that. So
yeah, some things just don't scale down.
Yeah, it's some stuff. Yeah, real tough to scale down, and sometimes you don't find out until it's too late. But it's how you learn, I guess.
Well, and those boilers too. A lot of people think you got to be careful if they're going to blow up, and it just doesn't happen. I've never heard of one of those ever blowing up, because they're hydro to. I mean, shoot, I think Tim said his was hydro to what, 300 pounds or something.
300, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's like a water heater.
Yeah.
A gas-fired water heater. They're hydro to 300 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's what they're tested to, and then your relief valve is 150 pounds.
Right.
But if that relief valve sticks and doesn't pop off, and I've heard of instances of it not, the water heater can blow up if the gas valve sticks.
Oh, sure. I mean, you'd have to totally ignore a locomotive and have the safety stuck for it to even have a problem, because I don't think you could get enough fire in one of those to blow it up.
Yeah.
I don't think you get enough heat.
Yeah. Well, it'd be tougher, I would think, in a model.
Yeah.
Than it would on a full size.
So they're actually pretty safe. The biggest worry you would have was the damage that you would do. I mean, you would wreck it.
Yeah.
You might not blow it up, but you're going to be building a new boiler.
Bernard says his wallet sure has scaled down lately.
Yeah.
I know that feeling.
Well,
Steve Anderson's got a question to you, Steve. Do you have to build electric trains starting in 2040 to meet the new electric car standards?
Say that again. Yeah.
Are you going to have to build electric trains? I'm assuming he means in 7.5 scale.
Oh.
In 2040 to meet the new electric car standards.
I won't be here, so I don't care.
That's what I'm thinking. We're not going to be here. That's going to be you guys' problem.
My guess is it depends on who. Well, I'm not going to go there.
No, don't go there. Let's not go. Let's don't go there.
It's possible.
Yeah, it's very possible. Who knows?
No. But backing up to that big boy, literally. The other downside, I mean, he's got to have a massive trailer to carry that thing. I mean, everybody wants this big equipment, but you got to be able to haul it. You got to be able to store it.
I know. I went from 40cc, not 40cc. 40cc. No, it wasn't 40cc. Take it back. What size were those? Old glow engines. God, that's been a few years ago. Anyway, 40 size glow engine, which isn't, the head of it is about that big around and about that tall. It's not very big. Went from those, they had about a 40-inch wingspan, to third scale airplanes, where I had a Sopwith pup that was third scale that weighed 40 pounds. It was flying with I flew it with two different kinds of engines. One was a 38cc gas engine with a reduction gear on it. The other was 120cc twin gas engine.
Mm-hmm.
But those were 110-inch or 108-inch wingspan.
Sure.
So yeah, when you go from a 40-inch wingspan airplane to a 110-inch wingspan, you got to figure out how you're going to get it to the field to fly it in the first place.
Yeah.
So your transportation is completely different. The trailer I used to have, I could have put, 24 40-size airplanes in the trailer. With that third scale, I could get maybe two. If I was real good with it, I could get three in there, but it would have been tight.
Well, yeah, that big boy, that's basically two locomotives that you have to deal with on a solid frame.
Well, the guy that was up there in the video last week, it was unloading his van. I couldn't believe he kept pulling trains out of there.
Oh, Fred, man, isn't that crazy?
I mean, how many did he pull out of there? It was like 4 or 5, wasn't it, besides the engine?
Oh, yeah. I mean, he puts his camping gear in there, too. He pulls in with his van, and everything's in that.
He needs to get an award just for packing his van. I bet it took him a while to figure it out too.
He is a super guy, man. He's one of those ones. He's silent but deadly, very quiet, but don't piss him off. Yeah, I mean, there was about 5 years ago, we were at the Medford Club, and he was unloading his locomotive on it's an old gas station lift. It's hydraulic in the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Lift the cars. Well, they put a turntable on that thing that you could back your trailer or whatever up to, swivel it around and unload it. So he pulls his locomotive off of it, turns it around, and I don't know if he forgot to put a chain on it or just wasn't whatever. But anyway, the thing rolled off the end, and it went nose down on the ground and then laid over on its side. I mean, it was a good 3-foot drop, and I think I mentioned that last week. I mean, I would have had a heart attack. And he was as calm as anything. Looks at it, he goes, "Well, I'll fix it."
Yeah. Well, that was the way with RC airplanes, because they're up in the air, so they're going to come down one way or another.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of times they don't come down right. James, good morning, James. He can't stay long. He says, "Hello, everyone. I now have the traveling boxcar." So he got that from, yeah.
Is that the N scale or HO?
That's the HO. I wrote Ron Marsh an email, and I have not heard back. So
yeah, that car disappeared.
I guess. Anyway, Bernard's got one here. He said, "Damage is incredible. Lost 3 good men and a half of location in Farmington, New Mexico. Instead of 16 penny
Dumbass used
He's the Allen wrench in a pop-off. Yes, it was like a nuclear blast. Yeah, well, water heater blowing up, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it's not, it would not be pretty. I've seen one go through, I didn't see it when it happened, but I saw the remnants of it after one went through the roof like a missile on a house. Blew the bottom of it out and up through the house it went. So yeah, and they're not lightweight even when they're empty.
Hey, we're almost halfway through the show and we haven't even hit our topic.
Do we have a topic?
Well, a loose topic. What?
Well, we were going to talk about Train Mountain, which we've done a bunch of.
Oh, we can do that.
But
no, we were. I just kind of had an idea, what makes a model railroad, because a lot of people don't think. I mean, because Train Mountain is actually in the Guinness Book of World Records as the largest hobby model railroad in the world.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, what is a model railroad? Because even somebody that's got a little switching layout on a piece of plywood, that's a model railroad.
Well, Roy Container Man had a comment. He says Steve A is loud, can't sleep when he's talking.
What?
You can sing him a lullaby. Maybe that'll work.
Usually you can't hear me. Yeah, there's just no pleasing Roy. That's just the way it is.
He's worse than I am, isn't he?
Like, go back to sleep, Roy.
What's some more guys we got in here? Joe Rader's here. Good morning, Joe. Good to see you. And James Galton got here. And Roy, of course, Roy's here. Hello, Roy.
James Galton.
Yeah, anyway, we were going to talk about something else and we never even got to the subject.
Not really. I mean, it was kind of a follow-up for last week, I guess.
But yeah, still, like Steve was saying, Train Mountain is in the Guinness Book of World Records as the largest model train layout in the world. Yeah, which is pretty cool. And I was on Google Maps the other day looking at it, satellite view, and trying to follow the tracks. There's tracks that go over across the highway to people's houses.
Oh yeah.
They're private houses, so that would be cool if you lived there and you just park your train there on the tracks.
Yeah,
that'd be pretty slick.
Well, and I was telling you last night too about the Hitchy and Yosemite Valley. It's a 15-inch gauge privately owned railroad in California. And that's a model railroad. I mean, the guy's got it. I don't know how many acres, but it's all private. It's invitation only.
Hey, Pappy's here. Good to see you, Pappy.
Pappy, hello, Pappy.
When I was looking on the map, though, of Train Mountain, there's a substantial size layout that is separate from the 15.5 inch. Is that the G scale? It's the W and Y?
No, that's a privately owned one, and there's been hard feelings. I think the father passed away. He was a jerk. The son inherited everything. He's a jerk. They don't get along with Train Mountain for some stupid reason. It's a long story, but they actually put a chain link fence across the tunnel under South Chillicothe Highway, that double tunnel that we go through. They put up a chain link fence because they don't want Train Mountain going up on top of the mountain. So they blocked it off, but they kind of, I don't know why they don't get along, but that part of their railroad, they don't even do it. They don't even use it. So it's all rotting away. And it's a kind of weird situation. I can't really explain it. If you want to go to the Train Mountain website, they might have something on it. But yeah, there's some privately owned stuff. But I don't understand why somebody would have that kind of, close proximity to Train Mountain with a railroad in your property, and you don't have anything to do with it. I just don't get it. That's just me.
Yeah. Well, they had it. Train Mountain has it on their walking tour map that they have on their site. They have that railroad over there. They show it drawn out too, and that's why I was asking. But I remember
you're talking about the G scale.
Yeah, well, that's what I was wondering if it was G scale or not. It's the the W and Y or Y and W or something. I don't remember exactly what the name of it was.
Well, the G scale is called Gville, and it's way down at the bottom of the mountain by,
This looked like it was right down by the highway.
No, because G scale, I don't think it would even show up on a satellite picture.
Well, do they have their own parking lot?
No.
Because it shows it being there being a pretty good sized parking lot there that was with that railroad also.
Are you sure? I don't think so.
Yeah, well, it's on that walking tour map. That's, you know, yeah.
Oh. Okay, I know what you're talking about. You're talking about the Klamath Western.
Okay.
Okay, that's
K and W.
K&W. Okay, yeah. That's also part of Train Mountain, but that's the part of Train Mountain that runs for the public. They're open every Saturday.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because it was quite a bit smaller.
Yeah, they pull the public. You can run through there. I mean, it connects with Train Mountain. So, you know, if you want to run through the Klamath Western on any day other than a Saturday when they're running, you can do that too, which is kind of a fun.
Because it, you know, from the satellite view, it looked like it was the same size.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, but I couldn't tell, and I remember the G scale.
Mm-hmm.
That Chuck was mentioning, they had the G scale over there. You couldn't really see it on the camera that he was doing, but he was saying it was a G scale over there.
But no, the Klamath Western, yeah, that's what that is. K&W. They had a really cool timber tunnel that they pulled out. About a month and a half ago. Because the timbers were rotting. It was 20 some odd years old, and it was an S curve. It was kind of spooky because it smelled like an old mine.
Yeah, you put timbers underground, it's going to smell like an old mine.
Yeah, but they daylighted that because it was a safety issue, so they pulled it out and they decided not to redo it. So now it's just a big cut.
Yeah, because I saw that on the map.
Yeah,
timber tunnel. I thought, well, I don't remember that being on Train Mountain. That's the other reason I was asking you about it.
well, I shot a video through that, but I stuck my phone on the front of. Well, you remember the one that I did on Tim's team? You know, I stuck.
Mhm.
I tried that on mine, and it was vibrating so bad you couldn't see it. But I did that through the Klamath Western. It's too bad because it would have been a good video, but it shook so bad you just couldn't even watch it.
Yeah.
I'm looking back.
Anyway, that's what we're talking about. And like I say, next week, guys, we will have a guest. And so I highly recommend you come in. Some of you guys have probably been to his channel. And I'll give you a heads up. He does narrow gauge like me, but he's also lives in Oklahoma. I'm just not sure exactly where he's, northwest Oklahoma. So my guess he's up around Enid or Woodward or someplace over in that direction.
Does he build turnouts too?
I'm sorry?
Does he build turnouts too?
I don't think he does. At least not at this point. I'd have to go back and see some of his videos. I don't think he does, but he's got his first module finished. And of course he did videos on doing his structure and stuff that he's got his railroad in. Anyway, it's pretty good. So, he will be on next week. We'll definitely have him. And then the 2 weeks after that, the July 4th, and the week after that, the week after July 4th, I will be in Silverton. Next week, not next week, 4th of July weekend, I will be out of town with family. And then the weekend after that, I'll be in Silverton with my best friend, my other best friend that lives here in town. But we're going to be up there going to some of the old mines and stuff. So I will be taking lots of pictures to show on the show when I return. So you got that to look forward to.
Well, we were also talking about taking those 2 weeks off too, those 2 Saturdays.
Yeah, we will not be here those 2 weeks. So 4th of July 4th of July and the week after, we will not have a show. So
I've got a dog, got little Gus is going in for double eye surgery on the 1st. So he's going to be a little conehead for 2 weeks or so. So watching him out here trying to do a show could be an issue. So I'll be busy too. So yeah, 2 weeks off, which is cool. We can do a vacation, right?
yeah, we're gonna do a small vacation. But anyway, I'll be out of town. We might do a very, very short beans if I can get some Wi-Fi up in Silverton. I might do a short beans, and I mean really short, which would be just a few minutes. But we'll post that up on the channel if I get a chance to do that. Steve Anderson said, Pappy had a good question. Does Train Mountain take tourists, and how do you buy tickets?
Yes, and you don't have to. Okay, if you want to ride the Climate Western on a Saturday, you can do that. Otherwise, I mean, Train Mountain is also a museum. So during the day, during weekdays, the gate's open. You can go in there and look around and go through the full-size equipment and walk around. They don't have any official tours, but they do give people rides. I mean, if they get enough people out there, they'll take you around. And there's somebody out there that's running that will be happy to take people. I did that on Sunday when I was getting ready to leave. There was a couple that showed up and they'd never seen it before, and so I took them up on top of the mountain for a nice 3-hour ride. So, yeah, there's always somebody there that'll give you a ride. Almost always.
Yeah, and if you go to Train Mountain's website for the walking tour of the full size equipment, they've got it all. They've got a map that's got it all marked, all the equipment marked that's there, and they have a list that explains each thing. But I think Chuck was also showing some pictures of the placards that they have at each of those pieces of equipment that help explain it. So you could go to the website and download those 2 items and go up there, and there wouldn't have to be anybody there to help you look around at the full size stuff.
Yeah.
It doesn't really explain the rest of the place, but I imagine you can find that information on the website. Excuse me.
Let's see. Pappy, you've got a question. If you own a train, is it a membership thing to operate on the rails? Yeah. You just join Train Mountain, and it's like $75 or something like that, and you get free run of the place. Just annual membership. You can take your train down there whenever you want to.
That sounds pretty good.
Plus, you have access to basically everything. The full machine shop. That we spent. Friday it poured up there. I mean, it just poured all day long, and we spent the whole day in the back shop, messing around and fixing stuff and tinkering. I mean, they got lathes and mills and giant band saws. You can build anything.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's amazing that they open it up to even just the members for all that stuff.
Yeah. The best part is the beers are only $1.
There you go. We might run the fridge out of beer.
They got the idiots, the honor system, take a beer, put $1 in, and good to go. And they've got see, I didn't realize that when I joined that, I had no idea that you had free run of the place until somebody gave me a tour through there and said, "Oh yeah, you can come in here." They've got it's kind of like a bar, bar stools and everything to go in there on work weekends. At 4 o'clock, they've got a big giant steam whistle that they blow, and I didn't know this. At 4 o'clock, they blow the steam whistle, and everybody comes in there and drinks beer. It's like, and then they both crack. Damn.
Yeah. Then it turns into social hour.
Yeah, I mean it's very very low key up there. Nothing official. It's very fun.
Let's see. Steve Anderson said, I was surprised that Kit Shack live steamers were $40. You can use their train equipment after they teach you.
Yeah. Yeah, the Medford Park's the same way, except they're a bunch of jerks.
I was going to say, does Medford have one too?
They do, and I was part of that, and that's a long story. But they've been basically shut down since COVID. It's a long story, but they've got a lease deal with the city of Medford, where they've got the property with the condition that they pull the public twice a month, and which is fine. But see, the city's got them shut down right now because of COVID. There's a lot of politics that are going on there, and I could shoot your ear for a couple hours on that one, but I don't have anything to do with them now. I did, but I don't. It's closed. It's only 45 minutes away, but
that's always a risk with any kind of club, whether it's a model railroad club or live ride-on train clubs like Train Mountain and stuff. You run the risk of the politics that can crop up. I know in the RC club, I was president for a while, and I got out of that as soon as I could because it's a nightmare. You got we had when I was president. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's not worth dealing with.
When I was president, we had 200 members, and there was 10 guys that would come and set up for shows and stuff like that. Everybody wanted stuff from you, wanted you to do stuff like that, but they didn't want to help with it. So, you have that kind of problem all the time. And then you have guys that are fighting with each other and all that kind of stuff that you got to step. It's just not, there's a lot of things about clubs that can be bad.
Well, see, the Mexican Railroad Park, it's actually several different clubs. You've got the live steam part. They've got a G scale club. There's an HO club, so that's 3. There's also an organization that's restoring a full-size Shay there, so that's 1. And then there's a speeder club. So there's several clubs that are all involved in there. But it's not an environment that's very friendly. They don't welcome steam locomotives. They run all the steamers out. Fred's the only one left, only because he likes to be a thorn in their side.
Antagonist.
Yeah. I mean, I could chew your ear for a while, but yeah, it's too bad.
My thing was, it was just, that's a risk you run anytime you join a club, and you never know usually until you get into the club what it's going to be like. And to hear that Train Mountain is that open is really good.
Oh yeah, I mean, in Medford, it's like they're the people feel like it's the most important job they've ever had in their life.
Yeah. Well, and it's the same thing with anything else. It sometimes becomes a power struggle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And guys want to think that they're in charge and tell you what to do and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And it can be bad, but it can also be really good. I mean, I had more good times in the RC club than I had bad times, for sure. Right. But it is one of those things that can be bad. So.
Well, and Train Mountain, it really surprised me. As big as that place is, you would think the politics there would be massive, and it's just not. I mean, there, you get a few people down there that, kind of think they're in charge, but they're not. But that's cool. You know who they are, and they do a lot of work down there. So yeah, but it's very very friendly. It's a very friendly environment. Which is really nice to go down there when there's no meet. I mean, you got 2,200 acres, and you're the only person down there. You got the gate code. You walk in, unload your stuff, and disappear. And there's nobody there.
Yeah.
And even if there are people there, they're all really cool. Everybody's friendly. Like on a meet, if there's a meet down there, and you got something broke, take it to the back shop and they're gonna fix it. I guarantee you somebody there will fix it for you. They're just extremely friendly.
Yeah, well, we had a lot of that too, and where I found the meets, like you say, were the best because the guys that were the grumblers in the club would not go to the meets.
Yeah,
because the meets had rules, and that's one thing the grumblers didn't want to follow was the rules. They wanted to do their own thing, and that's where I used to get into it with people was over the safety rules, and so, but you go to the meets. And it was the same thing. If you had a problem with your airplane, there was somebody there that had a tool that you needed that you didn't happen to have, or the knowledge to fix whatever it was you had.
right.
And I've seen them rebuild complete airplanes, almost complete airplanes, just volunteering to help. So it can be really cool. That's the good part of the club. That's the stuff you're really looking for in a club.
Yeah,
but you're going to get some of the other with that. So,
and there are a lot of rules at Train Mountain. I mean,
sure, there has to be
safe. I mean, when you've got a lot of people out there running, I mean, sure, there's a lot of flagging rules. Having a conductor, you got to go back to 2 mile posts to flag. Of course, that's all safety stuff. And it's very important when you got a bunch of people running. But when you're the only one out there, it's the rules are a little looser.
Well, sure. Same thing at an RC airfield. If you're the only one flying, there's nobody there to say anything else.
Yeah.
So you're the only one that's going to get in trouble. And you're the only one that's going to get hurt.
Yeah. You're always supposed to have a conductor, but you know what? When you're out there by yourself.
Well, and a good rule at an RC airplane club is don't fly by yourself.
Yeah.
Because if you cut yourself, I've seen guys get cut, and if there wasn't somebody there, they wouldn't have made it back to their car.
Yeah. There's hard, fast rules there, and no solid fuels. I mean, you're propane. Whether you go out there by yourself, you're still propane, so you don't break that one. You still have safety chains on the cars because you got 3% grays, and they've had runaways before.
Oh, and I can imagine those would come whizzing down to 3% grade.
Cars come up the mountain at 30 miles an hour.
Yeah. That would not be a good sight if you got a nice expensive steam engine sitting there coming up the hill and you see a string of cars come flying down.
Yeah. So there's some rules you don't break. So, I mean you know what you can do, but safety change. Yeah, do safety.
Yep. But anyway, clubs can be fantastic, but there's always going to be bumps in them for sure. It's just the nature of people, unfortunately. Anyway, we're almost done here with the hour. As usual, it went by fast.
Bernard's got a quick question. He said in the video that I shot, how fast was the steamer running? He wasn't running that fast, Bernard. It looks like it. He looks like he's flying, but he's only doing the normal 6-7 miles an hour. Not fast. The first time Tim brought that engine up there, poor Lily, the little dog that they have, walked along the side of the train the whole time. Tim ran that thing so slow all the way down the mountain up to the tunnel that poor dog walked the whole way. And I followed him. It's like, God, hurry up. Pull the throttle back, dude, man. You're too slow. But no, this one, he's normal. He's probably running 7 miles an hour. It just looks that way because you got that camera way down at the track level.
Yeah, when you put it, well, I was going to say it's the perspective of the camera. When you get the camera right down on those rails, it looks like you're going a lot fast. It was the same thing, my wife's Miata. If you could drive 40 miles an hour, it felt like you were doing 80 if you had the top down. So you'd speed up to 80 and it didn't seem any faster than when you were doing 40. It was really weird. Anyway, what else? We got anything else over here?
Let's see.
Lehigh River says he took their little one out last Sunday for a ride. He wasn't a fan of the steam whistle. Yeah, I can imagine. Bernard said on the video it looked like Back to the Future speeds.
It wasn't. It looked like it wasn't.
Okay, well, we've come up to another hour, guys. Great time as usual, at least for me. I hope you guys have a good time when we're discussing. Like I say, next week we will have a guest on next week, so make sure you're here next week. And then the 2 weeks after that, you can go do something else. Work on your layouts. We'll give you this hour to work on your layouts.
Yeah, videos out, but we promise we'll be back.
Yep.
We're not going anywhere.
No, we'll be back after that. So we're just going to take a short break. Steve's got the dog to take care of, and I'm going to be out of town. So, but next week we'll be here with a guest. So till then, you guys take care. We'll see you later.
Take care.